You know, there's nothing like cracking that cellophane and pulling that record out. It just smells great.
Welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Non-stop hardcore energy.
I love the show, guys. You're awesome.
Unlike any other.
With your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bod Father.
Man, this stuff rocks.
This is Zeke Sky. You're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
The views and opinions of the guests do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of BODS Mayhem Hour, its staff, affiliates, or sponsors. Parental discretion is advised. Welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Hey everybody, welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour. I am your host, John the Bod, aka the Bod Father, and as always, I'm bringing you guys and gals awesome interviews. Today, it's an honor and a huge privilege to welcome Zeke Sky on the podcast, and recent Atomic Fire Records signee has released his label debut, Intergalactic Demon King. Also, check out singles Light the Sky, Intergalactic Demon King, and Say Your Prayers. Zeke, welcome to the podcast, and how you doing, my man?
I'm great, man. How are you?
Doing awesome. So in 2018, you posted videos of yourself on the internet playing your music. What was people's feedback on it, and did you take anything from it, or like trim this from this, and or I added too much of this, or what? Well, let's talk about that a little bit. What was the reception?
It was good. It was very encouraging for me. I think what really started to occur to me, though, was that it was important to put things into songs. And that wasn't really my approach in the beginning. My approach was more kind of to turn the camera on and play guitar. And I had written a lot of songs, and I had a lot of songs that were done, but the actual effort of trying to bring those things into a studio and kind of disciplinedly put them on a record and make music videos was not something that I had ever done before. And that was just a transition that had to be made.
How do you stay fresh? And what I mean by fresh is like, you know, with your guitar playing, because there's so much stuff that's out there and there's so much stuff that's been copied. But how do you say, okay, when you hear me play, you know, this is Zeke Sky playing? How do you get that Zeke Sky sound?
I think it just comes from years and years of trying to develop your own musical voice. If you've genuinely done that, you end up sounding like you, if that makes the most sense. And it's that sounds really cliche, but when you think about your best friends and how they sound when they use certain pieces of language, and how they sound when they're trying to make a joke or something, you can usually distinctly tell it's them. And it's because they've had exposure to the language for a very, very long time. I think that that's like maybe the main thing. And it's also about intent. It's about, you know, if you make it your own idea to sound like the best version of yourself instead of sounding like someone else, you're ultimately going to end up with that. And, you know, I think that there's a lot of utility in trying to learn other people's music. I think that that's an important part of the process. But ultimately, guitar is, and, you know, any expressive instrument is about having fun and trying to push yourself. And, you know, if you do those things right, you end up sounding like yourself.
Have you had that moment yet to where you've been pushed to your limits? You've had to sit back and go, do I really want to do this? What's that drive that still keeps you going, man, and want to overcome those obstacles, I should say?
You know, it's just such a turn on to be able to do that. It like in and of itself, where you noticed a limitation you had and you get past it. That is like a huge driver for me. And I don't think it's a driver maybe for other people sometimes. I think for a lot of people, and not to knock this at all, but, you know, when they pick up a guitar and when they get a guitar, you know, the thing that they're looking to do is play Sunshine of Your Love a zillion times in their basement. And that is totally fine. And it's valid. I think when you set your goals very lofty and high, the bar is just continually raised. And when the bar is continually raised, you know, you go after it, and you either have the type of personality that is like someone who wants to continually raise the bar, you know, you're not. And that is a vicious process in some ways, but it's what gives you, you know, really great creative and novel ideas in art.
I thought this was phenomenal when I saw this, because this is huge. You played your first show opening for KingsX. I mean, the butterflies had to be going through you like in the nerves. What was going through your mind at that time? How nervous was you to open up for those guys?
I wasn't nervous at all, actually, because I'd been drinking that night. Just kidding. I was. It was cool. It was definitely. I'd just written the first couple of songs for the Zeke Sky albums, and doing that show was something that I knew was a big deal. But I was just so focused on getting out there and just playing the music to the best of my ability. I didn't care that I was opening for KingsX. I wouldn't have cared under any circumstances. All I cared about was doing the best that I could. And actually that night, it was the best live performance I think I've ever given. There's video from that night. It's out there somewhere on YouTube. And it was just fantastic. I spent a long time preparing for that show, and it was great.
Was it quick to win the crowd over, or did it take a couple songs?
That's a good question. It definitely did take a couple of songs, and it took the songs that I was playing guitar solos on, because I wasn't going to sell the KingsX fans on my voice necessarily. Yeah. But I was very able to sell them on the guitar playing. And by the time I had gotten through a couple guitar solos, they understood. How
good does it feel to have this debut album, Intergalactic Demon King, in your music library now, man? How good does it feel to get it out and be done with it and move on?
Amazing. The funny thing about it is I released it independently about a year ago. Mm-hmm. I had the record and I released it independently. And then Marcus Stager from Atomic Fire and Nuclear Blast Records heard it and decided that he wanted me on Atomic Fire Records. And I was very happy to hear about that and decided that I wanted to make the vinyl through Atomic Fire and through his whole thing. And I'm glad it is in the rearview mirror. It's all of the more energy that I put into thinking about the next thing, though. And so it's a constant process, man. There's no finish line.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, you're always writing and moving on to everything in between.
That's right.
What led the track "Say Your Prayers" to be the first song released off of this album, man? What was it about that for you that said that's got to be my first one?
I didn't decide, actually. Yeah, the label did. I think maybe it had to do with the fact that there was a very solid chorus in that song that was like mainstreamy sounding. But I don't know. I can't speak for them.
Was there a track that you were working on that totally ended up sounding different than it was intended to for this album? Was there one that kept changing or no?
No, I mean, it was all very fleshed out. By the time it came to recording those songs, they sounded in my head about the way they came out. Kevin Antreassian, my producer, added some production touches that were useful, but it came out sounding very similar to the archetype that I heard in my head.
Any track standing out more to you than any right now on this album? I know these are your babies. I completely understand that, but do you have any that stick out for you personally?
Yeah, I mean, all of them do. I'm really happy with the whole record. The songs that I think maybe, I guess it's Light the Sky, probably Say Your Prayers, and Fire Witch for Forever, because they were the songs that I knew when I was writing them how much of a struggle they were to like really just get them out, to get them on paper, to get the guitar riffs written, to get the lyrics written. So maybe it could be that I think those are the best songs, or it could be that I labored the most for them. But either way, those are probably the ones that are closest to my heart.
Was the track listing placement important for this album, Zeke? I mean, did it have to be exactly perfect the way you wanted it?
Marcus Wastian, who is the CEO of Atomic Fire Records, had a look at all of the songs that I had put out. There was a previous EP called Lionheart that had 4 songs on it. And he took a listen to that combined with Intergalactic Demon King, which was originally a 7-song album. Mm-hmm. And he decided, he listened to all of them and he gave me this proposal for a track listing, and I listened to them all together and they were great. I didn't have an instinct about that, actually, because I didn't listen to vinyls. I didn't grow up on CDs. I've grown up on individual songs. I'm younger. So I was, I had no real designs on this, the experience of hearing the record through, and he did.
You missed out, son. I have got so many albums and CDs I've sat down and just listened to. I mean, when just singles were just starting to come out and all these streaming platforms, I was like, we're just going to have singles and no full-length albums. I was like, what the what? I was kind of upset, because I want that full-length album. I want that discography where I can sit down and listen to it and just go away. I don't have to sit there and just, well, listen to my song. What else am I going to do for the day?
Yeah.
You know?
Mhm.
Oh, man. Any songs that did not make this album, we're going to see on another album or just a standoff or maybe an EP from you down the road, possibly.
There is a single that the label is going to release called, I'm not going to say the name of it, but there is one that got recorded originally that they're going to trickle out in the next couple months that I'm super excited about. But besides that, no.
What's the growth musically you've seen from yourself working on this album? Have you seen anything that's impressed you or gotten better that you've been wanting to work on?
Everything got better. It was just, it was the most strenuous recording experience I had ever been through by far. And it forced me to examine my playing in ways that maybe I hadn't before. You know, everything about trying to do a spotless record is like that. And, you know, I guess if I was going to be like really particular about it, it's really, really, you know, obtuse stuff about playing and tone and singing really were the two main things.
You released a full length instead of an EP. Did a full length just fit these tracks instead of releasing an EP for you?
Yeah, definitely, because it was just that was the length. You know, there was no way of putting it out as an EP.
Yourself and alongside with Kevin, you mentioned earlier, who helped produce this album. Does he get something out of you, man, that maybe somebody else might not get possibly? Does he get exactly what you're striving for?
You know, Kevin's the only one I've worked seriously with in this context. I have an instinct that he did, though, because we got along personally and because, you know, there were times where I felt that he was something of a perfectionist in a way that I wasn't. In like certain aspects that I wasn't. I would have to just go on the side of caution here. I would say, yes, there was something. I can't put my finger on it, but there was something he got out of me that I wouldn't have gotten probably.
So David Rizza of Insect Decay did the artwork for this album. Did he get exactly what you were looking for?
Yeah, I think so. It came a long way from the original design, and there was a lot of back and forth, but I think it was pretty much, there it is. The good old Intergalactic Demon King. Yeah, I think it was pretty much exactly right.
That is an awesome cover, my friend. I dig that a lot. I honestly do.
Yeah, it's got a lot, but that was correct.
Well, I mean, think of it this way, Zeke. A lot of people bought albums just specifically on the album cover.
Right.
You know?
Right.
You know, you've got an album cover that I want to buy and be like, hey, look at this. We got some sci-fi stuff on here. You know, that's up my alley. So I would have bought it.
Yeah. I hope that was hopefully the effect.
What do you hope everyone takes away while listening to these new songs from you? What do you hope they get from it, man?
You know, there's messages in there. It's, you know, it's about, what is it about? It's very hard to put my finger on exactly what it's about, but it's stories of bravery and warriorhood and coming of age and anger and sorrow, but also happiness and faith. People will get a dynamic array of things from it if they listen to it hard.
Here's the $1 million question. This is my $1 million question I asked everybody that comes on this podcast. So if you could be a member in an iconic band and play one of their legendary shows, which band and what show would it be, Zeke, for you personally?
Probably something like being Jimi Hendrix at the Isle of Wight Festival, probably.
Oh, Jimi Hendrix. Well, we're getting some new ones on here tonight with all these interviews I've been doing. Jimi Hendrix, that's the first one that's been said on here. Usually it's Queen Live Aid. Usually that's the one.
Yeah.
Good choice, my friend. Good choice. Zeke, how can folks stay in touch with you? Buy this new album. Everything under the name of Zeke Sky. How can you do that, good sir?
Yeah, best thing to do is to order from atomicfirerecords.com. And you can definitely stream the record wherever you stream albums if you can't buy a record.
Would you care to do a promo for my show before I let you go?
Yeah, this is Zeke Sky. You're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Everybody stick around. We got some great stuff coming up, and you only hear these interviews right here on BODS Mayhem Hour. Please get out and check out our Facebook page. It has our podcast link and our YouTube link, and you definitely want to subscribe to that YouTube link. Get out and check out Zeke Sky. Pick up this debut album, Intergalactic Demon King. I guarantee that you will dig this. So, Zeke, man, thank you for being on the podcast, and I wish you nothing but the best of luck, man.
Thank you, buddy.
You're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.